Hello, everyone. Welcome to Afro Girl Diaries. My name is Belinda. If it's your first time here, I am joined by a lovely, lovely friend of mine, Angie. If you can just say hi to everyone and we can get started. Okay, so Angie seems to have frozen a little bit. Let me just notify her. All right, so I'll just, technical difficulties, unfortunately. Let me just try rejoin using my own data. Okay, so we'll just wait for if you actually, just to confirm that everyone, it's not on my end, it's on Angie's end. If you can just put a chat just to confirm if you can
Wait.
hear and see me. I know, technical difficulties. I was wondering if it's my side, but I've just asked everyone who's joining us to just confirm in the chat if they can hear or see us. All right. Can you hear and see me, Angie?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. It's all right. It happens. It happens with lives.
We make plans and God laughs. Was it so
I know.
embarrassing?
No, it's not embarrassing. It happens. I was even wondering, is it my own Wi-Fi? But we're here. We're here. So
Yes.
Angie, okay, good. I can see Leon has confirmed that he can hear and see both of us. Perfect. And I can see also Wanjiko is saying hi.
Hey.
Perfect. So I'm joining from Birmingham in the UK. Angie, you can probably just say hi, let us know where you're joining from. And even everyone who is watching us live, let us know where you're joining from so that, we can engage. It's more of a discussion. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so excited to be here. I've been following this channel for a while. And when Belinda asked if I could join the live, I was really, really excited. I'm joining from Nairobi, Kenya. Super excited to be here. Super excited to exchange views and just engage with everyone on the live. So let's do it.
And I'm happy to have you here. For those of you who are joining this channel for the first time, I'm doing this A Career In series where I just feature people from different backgrounds. They get to, tell us what they do. If someone is interested in joining that career, what it is that they need to do to, get started, because people switch careers every so often, or you're completely fresh from uni and you're just thinking about going into this specific career. Angie, if you can let us know what you do, and of course that will help us introduce why we have you on today, like which segment we're talking about.
Yeah, great. I'm a lawyer by profession, with about just a little over 6 years experience. And yeah, I'm a lawyer. I'm a wakili, as they say here in Kenya. I'm excited to be here and discuss a little bit more about my journey. Yeah.
Perfect. So our agenda today is a career in commercial law. So just to confirm, you're in the corporate sector. Angie will walk us through her journey, what made her want to become a lawyer, how it's been for her, how she ended up in commercial law. Was it by chance or is it something you had been aiming to do all along? And also along the way, what like a typical day is for you, what you think are important skills for someone who is striving to be in your position. And maybe you can even just give us a bit of snippets on into like what you're planning to be. Is this where you're planning to be for the next few years, or you're working towards a specific segment? You can just walk us through that. But yeah, getting started, Angie, if you can walk us through Angie in high school, because that's when I met you, through to uni, to who you are today, how your journey has been.
Yeah. I mean, Belinda, it's crazy to think we've been we've known each other for like a decade now.
Over a decade.
Oh, yeah, over a decade. That's so crazy. Sometimes I feel like high school is
I
just the
know.
other day. Yeah.
I know.
So my short journey so far, I'm not that old. Um, I've yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've had a pretty standard educational background by Kenyan standards. I did my KCP here, and then went to Loreto High School, Limuru, which is where we met.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody who knows me from high school actually knows I wanted to be a journalist. That's what I wrote in um, everyone's auto books.
Yeah.
That's what I was supposed to be at CNN now, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that was my life plan. Now I'd be in CNN or something of the sort, BBC or those kind of careers. That's just always what I saw myself doing when I was in high school. Before that, I think all of us at some point wanted to be a neurosurgeon after our parents pushed down gifted hands
I know. I know. What's the name of
and
that
big picture.
neurosurgeon? I've even
Ben
forgotten his name.
Carson. I
Mm.
remember Kabisa because my parents had all those books, so I read all of them. And of course, when I was in primary school, I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. But I remember, like, my first big dream, I really wanted to do journalism. I had a passion for media, probably because I think you can tell I have a cheerful disposition. I like people. I'm a very people-oriented person. So that seemed to me like the best fit for it. And after that, I think my next passion was music. So just shortly after high school, I can't even pinpoint when exactly, but I think when the results came out, I had a chat with my dad and he said, "Hey, look, law is a versatile career.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually do a lot with law. You can expand it towards whatever it is that you want to do. You could actually end up being a journalist." And I think he had even prepared his points
Yeah.
and he even told me how even Julie Gishuru, you see, Julie Gishuru she actually did law, and you see now she's a journalist, so it fits. I'm generally, I mean, at the time I wasn't, I'm not the type to really push back. At the time, so I said, you know what, fine, I'll see how it goes. And at the time, Strathmore had just set up a very nice law school.
Mm.
And I remember everybody who joined was getting a free laptop. It feels rather
Oh,
shallow to say now, but
I know.
as a 17-year-old, that was really the selling point, you know.
Yeah.
And I think they were pushing also that you'd get a Euro trip in third year or something like that. And all to say, anyway, I'm just giving this background to say that even if when you've just finished high school, you don't exactly know what you want to do, or you want a different career path, and you kind of stumble into another career, it doesn't mean that you can't make something of it. Because even when I went to law school, so I ended up just going, I was like, I mean, how difficult, I had been a high achiever all my life. And I had said, you know, how difficult could it be really? I could just join. And then if I don't like it, once I graduate, I could always pick something else to do. Of course, at the time, I did not have the hindsight of knowing that law school isn't just the 4 years at
Yeah.
law school. It's an investment again to go to the Kenya School of Law. It's an investment to get admitted to the bar. It's about, anyway, the whole entire thing is just about 7 years. But I was a 17-year-old kid. I didn't know really how this career shaped up. And I just decided, hey, let me just go into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember actually in first year, I remember feeling a lot like a misfit in that first semester, because I remember sitting in class and a lot of people seemed to like this had been their lifelong dream, and they had just, they had
Yeah.
just come into their own, and they had so many, like they had so much knowledge. You see, when you have a dream and it hasn't just happened on you, you really have gone into it. You know a lot of things, you know how what the
Mm.
constitution says, you know this kind of law was enacted, I don't know where. And these are things I had zero interest in at the time, to be honest, if I'm completely
Yeah.
honest. for me, if I just remember thinking, if I had gone to journalism, I'd have had so many points to to bring up or something like that. Being really, maybe I've chosen the wrong career. I don't think I'm interested in this. And even I kind of went through the motions in first year and second year as I had different courses. I actually didn't do that well in my first year of law school. I remember getting a few C's, which for me, that wasn't my,
Yeah.
I mean, before campus, I had never really gotten such kind of grades. And things really started shifting for me after, I think in third year. In third year, we did intellectual property as a course. And that really is when I saw, oh, this is actually interesting. This is something I could see myself doing, which is curious because, of course, that's if you're a creative lawyer. See, I call myself as a creative. And if you're a creative, that's kind of where then now you have the intersection of law and your creative passions. And
Yeah.
that's when I remember now my wheels started turning and I started doing a lot better. I think at the end of that year, I was in the dean's list. I then got myself an opportunity to manage to go for an internship, a very prestigious internship that the school was
New York.
offering, to go
Okay.
to go to Washington DC in the US.
Yeah.
And really, that's, I feel like, because I then now got to plug in my passions, and even in a very preliminary way, even in a very small way, see what life could be like in a commercial law capacity, or doing IP, or doing some kind of corporate law, some kind of copyright law. And I started seeing, oh, a lawyer doesn't mean that you just have to go to court. Because even, again, if you know me, I'm actually a very non-confrontational person. So it's not, my personality also doesn't fit that kind of adversarial, going to court, and that really doesn't fit in. But I then now started seeing that maybe there's a space for me, being a commercial lawyer, being kind of thinking up a corporate strategy to things, kind of thinking about how people could strategize towards brand protection. Those things really started getting my juices flowing, and I started doing a lot better in school. I started plugging in. I then now sought out opportunities all around me where I could then now plug into that passion. And I remember it was later that year, I think, that I got a student internship or fellowship at Strathmore, which is, I think they have a center of IP and IT. And I was able to then intern under a very, very renowned practitioner in patent law. That's Dr. Isaac Rutenberg. And I was able to then learn. And then now afterwards, I then now sought out another opportunity, which was to work in an entertainment agency. And I was there in-house counsel, which then opened up this breadth of opportunities where I was now managing quite a number of very renowned artists in Kenya, learning how the copyright, how copyright in music work, learning how music business works. It was then now another accelerated process up to and beyond graduation. Then now I was working in this industry, and since there's such a few number of lawyers who actually specialize in this law, it's an opportunity to then now grow and expand very quickly, because it's a very niche field. So then I was able to learn a lot in quite a limited amount of time. And I even remember at some point going to South Africa to then now the mother agency of that entertainment agency. And then I think I paid a visit to Universal Music, and I could see then now how my life could pan out in that way. But then again, another
Another
curveball.
360. Yeah.
Where are
Yeah.
we in this long story? We are at a finished graduation, and I'm now in-house counsel in a small entertainment agency, but really one of the few entertainment agencies in Kenya. So what
Yeah.
happens is then now I have to go back to school. That's not the end of it in law school. Remember the story I said that it doesn't end in just the 4 years that you've done. So I have to go to the Kenya School of Law to then now sit a few more papers, actually take a whole year to then now learn a few things in actually practicing law, and then sit a few papers, and then be an apprentice, which in Kenya we call a pupil, and in a law firm to basically then now be admitted to the bar. And my thinking was, at the time I then was at a crossroads, because I could have stayed out, I could have continued. Not every lawyer goes back to KSL. But then I said, I've started this thing. Why don't I just finish it, see how then now I can maximize, and even if I'm coming back to this industry, then I can plug in further. So I decided to go back to school. I then resigned from that entertainment agency at the time. It was a very difficult decision, because then now at the time I was resigning, I was then heading my small business unit, and I was involved in conversations with the founder and CEO where we are building something. And I remember even my boss at the time telling me, I thought we were building something. You don't have to leave. You can do this while you're at school. But I remember the time feeling I really needed to go back. I needed to learn under someone, because that's something that I hadn't experienced as a lawyer, as a young lawyer. You see, I'm just fresh out of school. So I really felt like I needed to go back to school, get a few more mentors, learn under someone who's actually seasoned in this thing, and then come back to this if that's what I really want. Yeah. So I went to school. School that year was really a nice thing, made new friends, met my boyfriend, which was a great added plus. I
It was a
tell him
very
it's my 10th,
productive year.
very productive year. It's a very
Yeah.
productive year. So you need 9 passes to finish to be admitted to the bar. And I like to tell him he was my 10th P. I think people usually say that, because then now
Yeah.
that was, who's now for him, he's a natural born lawyer, natural born. Those are his passions, and he's a court lawyer. That's what he loves to do. So then I also then now learned a lot from him. And it was a period of learning. And just after KSL, I then now went into a law firm, a corporate law firm, very huge law firm in Kenya. And it's a top tier firm. I think that's what they call them, just the top, those firms that I guess the top of their game in Kenya. They pay rather well, relatively to to that post. So I was excited to then now get that opportunity. It was a competitive pupillage, but I was able to secure that pupillage, which I was really, really blessed to. And then when I went into, in fact, I remember when I did my pupillage interview, I remember being so, you see, I've come in and I've already had some experience in IP. So I know that's what I want to do. In my head, I'm like, I'm zeroed in. This is what I want to do. I don't even want to explore anything else. So I remember even in my interview then telling my, the panel in my last stage, because again, I think there were like 6 stages of interviews. And the last stage I remember saying, I'm actually here to learn from, because I had been following the partner for who's the head of IP in that firm, and it's the best IP firm anyway. I remember saying, I'm here to learn under him. I want to be a seasoned IP lawyer. That's what I want for my career, and this is what I want. And I remember they even asked, so what happens if what happens if that's actually not where your strength is? And I said, I'm open-minded to an extent, but for me, my passions, what I really, really want is just to be an IP lawyer. And I did my year in pupillage, because then again, it's another year. I did your M&A, everything that you see in suits, your mergers and acquisitions. I went to litigation. I went and did my conveyancing and general finance transactions. And then I went to IP. And I remember it was just a confirmation exercise. This is exactly what I want to do. You're right. This is exactly where I'm meant to be. And I said, you know what? This is where I want. That department. I went to the boss again and told him, by the way, just to reiterate, I really would love an opportunity to learn under you. I'd really love an opportunity to be retained here if you have any openings. And then again, it was another blessing that I was able to still get that opportunity to be retained as an associate, which is where I worked for almost, I think, 3 years, learning a very steep learning curve. Anyone who works in a law firm will tell you, you see, it's a constant exercise in humility, because especially in these huge law firms, you've
Looks like we've lost Angie. She'll join us back. A few technical difficulties. But thanks, Valerie. I can see you're enjoying this. I'm enjoying it as well. I'm not in the law industry at all. I'm not in the legal industry, so I'm not even referencing it correctly. But definitely, if you have any questions, engage with us. Andrea's just letting Valerie know and everyone else know that, we're enjoying this chat. I'm also new in this space. I'm learning from you. So definitely engage with us. Let us know your questions so that we can cover them as we go along. So Angie, you were letting us know about humility. Clearly,
yeah,
your Wi-Fi is making you very humble today.
I know. I'm experiencing yet another exercise in humility.
Yeah, it's all right. It happens.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a constant. Where was I? It was a constant lesson in humility, because you're used to. I mean, as I've told you in my past, I've gone to those national school. I've gone to the competitive law degree, and then I've ended up in, I'm used to getting. I'm not used to then now being told, hey, you went wrong here. Maybe this is not the right approach. Maybe this is a better approach to take, or have you thought about this? And you see, because again, I'm a last born, I don't have a problem taking feedback, but for that to then now be every day, and all along you see,
Yeah,
again, all along your life you've been told you're right, you're A1, then it's still another it's a step you need to take to then humble yourself, exercise some
yeah,
intellectual humility, to then now learn that you have to still learn from other people who are a lot more seasoned. And it's an experience I wouldn't give back for anything. I actually ended up now, before, remember, I joined knowing I wanted to do intellectual
IP.
property.
Mm-hmm.
I then ended up realizing, wow, I have so many other passions. I was exposed to working with these huge multinationals in tech, in telecommunications, in FMCG, and I realized there's such a huge. Maybe my dad was right. Remember the story I told you about my
Mm,
dad saying that it was a versatile career? Maybe
yeah,
my dad was right. I started realizing there's so many things I could do with this degree. There are so many areas I could end up in. A lawyer can end up in the military. A lawyer can end up in a hospital. You can end up in a huge multinational company, which is then now where I ended up.
mm-hmm.
And that's now the next step that I'm in right now, which is working for a huge. I mean, it's beyond my dreams what I could have thought of, to be honest. I work for a multinational company. That's the biggest beverage company in the world, and it's something I'm really blessed in this stage in my life. So then now again, it's still another learning curve now, knowing now I've come from a law firm where we are used to just advising. You see, you advise and go, you advise and go. You have
Yeah,
the you
short-term
a client
project.
comes with
Mm,
you that with a problem, you tell them this is what you do to fix it, and you go. But now it's a long-term thing, and you have to be on your feet. You have to be on your toes all the time. You're joining meetings every day where people are looking to you to then advise. And for them, for an in-house lawyer, then now what you're thinking is you want to have um a, like a commercially sensitive solution to everything, because the people that you're serving, your clients in an in-house capacity, are not it's not, you see, in a law firm, your clients are likely in-house lawyers. They will know what you're telling them if you give them a 26-page legal memorandum or something of
mm,
an opinion.
yeah.
What happens is that if you see, if Safaricom is going to a lawyer, to a law firm, what they're doing is it's the in-house lawyer who's instructing, and then
Mm,
the law firm will give them the opinion, and the in-house lawyer will then now deduce that opinion and give it to the business. But now I'm on this other side, And the people I'm advising are not people with a legal background. So they just want to know, hey, can we launch this product? Hey, how do I go about this legal disciplinary hearing? Or how do I go about letting this issue go? How do I go about solving this issue that we have in the company? So it's then again another learning curve that I'm finding myself in. And now is when I think someone wrote, there's a Facebook friend of mine, she's called Angie Ramaina. She wrote on Facebook, who by the way posts very nice updates. I think I encourage anyone to read. And she said that taking a career in law is then an exercise of continually learning. You're signing up to learning for the rest of your life. You'll always have to refer, you'll always have to read, you'll always have to then now be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's where I am. That brings me to today.
No, thank you so much, Angie. And I can see our audience is also appreciating this. So Valerie saying she remembers this story from our pupillage orientation. Do you know her?
Yeah, Valerie. And Valerie. Oh wow. I think I've seen her on Instagram. Yeah. And she said that I remember the story. Yeah, everyone who has a legal background, everyone. Everyone who's gone through this knows, you know how your spirit can just be. You have to tell yourself, hey, you're smart, all those daily
Mm-hmm.
affirmations, you have to give them to yourself, because you're not going to find them outward. Then again is another lesson in teaching you not to have an external locus of identity, not to look outward for validation. Because if you're looking outward, if you're looking then for the partner to keep
Yeah.
telling you, hey, you're doing a good job, wow, you're so smart, wow, good job, then you find yourself lost, and you find yourself doing a lot of things just because you want that validation, rather than it's the right thing for your career at that time.
No, I agree. Also, like for me, so I work for an audit firm, and
Yeah,
similarly, it's a very fast-paced environment. And with every appraisal, you're given, okay, this is what you're strong at, but these are the weaknesses as well. And just being able to, take that feedback and use it to
yeah,
build yourself. Just getting past the emotions part of it is quite hard. It's not easy.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
I can see a question here from Techie B. He's
Mhm.
asking, what do you enjoy about your job?
Oh, that's a good question. There's so many things I enjoy about my job. um I'd say I like the possibilities. So I'm a rather spontaneous person, and for me, actually, when I'm looking at opportunities, the thing that's most important for me is seeing what kind of growth capacity I have in a company, or what I can then plug in. So what I love about my job is that since it has a huge global presence, we are ever changing. There are always new
Mm,
priorities. There are always new things to grow into. Just recently, I joined a diversity committee. I never, you see, that's a huge passion of mine. Yeah.
yeah.
Outside of being a lawyer, I really like, I'm passionate about people getting what is owed to them, and everybody being treated equally. So being able to do that in the capacity of not just being a lawyer, but being part of this company that cares about certain things, cares about how many women occupy a certain space, how many people of color are employed, then that really excites me. It excites me to know that I can plug in my passion in any
Mm-hmm.
capacity. You see, I join the FMCG industry, or I join the beverage company, and it's exciting to know that it's not only um, I'm not only working on things to do with the beverage sector or something like that. There's always space to grow, and that's, I think, the thing with a legal career. There are always new laws. There's always an overhaul somewhere. There's always something to advise on, and so you keep on reading, you keep on learning, and it's just a career of possibilities. Yeah.
Just on that, I'm curious to know, is there a time
Mhm.
when you're too specialized, you can't come out of whatever specialization you have in law? Like currently, you'd say you're in the manufacturing element, fast
Mm.
FMCG, as you said. Is there a
Mhm.
time it's too late to go to conveyancing?
To be honest, I wouldn't say that's the case. Obviously, if you have uh, a career spanning 25 years, and you've invested in, say, being a litigation lawyer, or being a conveyancing lawyer, or something like that, yeah, you will take a bit to then now start specializing in a whole new sector, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it. And
Mm.
lawyers do this all the time. Actually, I think in fact, we were just discussing this with my boyfriend another time, that there is a lawyer, I think, who was quite senior, and then decided to take then a step back to specialize on other projects, specialize on another field of law. And that's possible. That, I mean, it's possible, because even in the field that you specialize in, it's always growing, and there are always
Yeah.
synergies with other. You see, just because I say that I'm a commercial lawyer doesn't mean that I don't get to advise on litigation strategy once in a while. That's something that I still am involved in. So it always kind of fits into the other. I think litigation lawyers, again, are the most diverse lawyers, because then now they advise on anything. You see, a
Mm-hmm.
dispute can be really anything. You can have a dispute. I think when I was in my disputes rotation, I advised, I mean, there was an airplane dispute, so you look at aviation laws. There was a bank dispute, so you have to look at the financial sector laws. There's so many things that you can then now plug into. So I wouldn't say, and you see, I'm not a believer in that there's a deadline to life. There isn't. And I think even my career so far shows that. I mean, I started out
Mm.
not even knowing that I wanted to be a lawyer, then realizing that I wanted to be an IP lawyer. And specifically, actually, when I was in law school, that time when I was a kid, when I was much younger, I was IP and specifically copyright. That's what I wanted, just to support music. In fact, I wanted
Yeah.
to go to Hollywood and like be in music business. But then
Yeah.
again, I evolved. I then still evolved. I realized, oh, I actually like tech. I like data privacy stuff. I like telecommunications. And then again, a curveball. Now
Mm.
I'm in beverages. So I wouldn't say that in another 10 years, it doesn't mean that I would leave where I am, but it doesn't also mean that I'm stuck in this place forever, because
Yeah.
it's a constant evolution.
Okay, so I'm catching a key skill there. Humility.
Mm,
You mentioned humility, but then also being open-minded and just being open to growth.
yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Then Tekibi asks again, what do you not enjoy about your job? Guess we're keeping it
What?
real and raw.
Yeah. That's a good question. Again, what do I not enjoy about my job? Uh, what I would say is, and again, I'll go back to that quote, that taking a career in law is a constant lesson in humility, and you have to then now um, make yourself like, you really have to take in a lot of you have to be intellectually humble to realize that you will always be learning. You won't always know. And I think when I was starting out, and this is the telltale sign I'd give if anyone is looking for tips, as a young lawyer, I remember joining even as a pupil and feeling like I should know this. I should never ask
Mm,
questions. I remember feeling like if a partner asked me something in a meeting, then it means that they expect me to know this, and I'm not allowed to take a bit and say, "Let me get
get
back to
back
you
to
on
you
that
later.
later."
Hmm.
These days, I feel nothing saying that. If I don't know something, I'll say, "Oh, actually, I'm not sure. Allow me to check, and then I'll get back to you."
Yeah.
Because I realize, you see, you lose so much time. Um, uh, I don't know what your page is on cussing, but BSing, yeah. You
Hmm.
lose so much time BSing, saying that you know something when you don't really know. and
Yeah.
and what ends up happening, you have so much anxiety, you go afterwards feeling,
Mm,
oh no, I didn't really I didn't really know what I should say, or something like that, in that particular circumstance. And then the worst part is, if you then now realize you had given the wrong answer, it brings up so many other issues. So I'd
yeah.
say, I think, if there's a part that's not enjoyable, or I found not enjoyable, especially when I was coming in, is just being humble and knowing that, and telling myself I don't know this, and giving myself that grace to learn, to continually learn, to just,
Yeah.
especially in a career that I hadn't seen myself in. So it's something that I'm playing catch up with also. It's not something that if you wanted to be a lawyer all your life, you would typically have already started reading those books when you were in high school, or when you were even in primary school or something like that. You've inched up to this dream. But for me, I always felt like I was catching up. I was playing catch up with my dream. I was playing catch up with my career, and it always felt like I had to put that much effort to then be the best, which is what, of course, we are always looking forward to. So giving myself that grace has been a huge learning point for me, giving myself the grace to learn, giving myself
Yeah.
the grace to grow, and the grace to also know I don't always have to be number one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always have to be the one who knows the most in the room or something like that. I can actually take a beat and then learn more and come back to the subject. And I don't
Yeah.
need to know everything either.
And employers actually appreciate that when you're honest. Like in interviews, you can imagine you ask a question and you're just there making up your own answer, and the person knows that you're
Yeah,
BSing. So,
they
yeah,
actually know. They actually
the
know.
person knows. Yeah.
Yeah.
Today, at this point, I wanted to ask you, do you have a work-life balance? Um, and do you try, if you've not achieved it yet, then what do you try to do? What are you intentional about to try and improve your
Mm,
work-life balance? Yeah.
I would say I do. Um, and I'd say work-life balance comes from intentionality. Um, is that to say that certain times in my career I haven't had work-life balance? Yeah, there are many, many times that I've felt exerting myself beyond what I may take. I've pulled those late nights. I've pulled I think there are times I've actually stayed up till 5 a.m. working on something urgent, but that's not the everyday. So I'd say I have a work life balance, because now it's something that then now I'm intentional about. But at the same time, at this stage in my career, because I'm so young and I don't have kids, I do not have. I mean, I'm not married yet. So it's not the hugest priority for me to
Mm,
have that time out of work. For me at the moment, my biggest goal is to grow quick in my career, so that at the time when I do need that work life balance, I'll be senior enough to be able to dictate my time, to dictate
yeah.
my kind of what I can take, and when I can work, and what I need to do. So I'd say that yes, I do have a work life balance. And again, what helps is that I work remotely at the moment. COVID, I think, came to save a lot
Save
of
us.
people. COVID came to really improve work life balance, because then you wake up, you can work in your DIRA all day unless you have calls or something. And that already helps you. Of course, it also means that you can actually find yourself pushing yourself further, because then you can work late hours without knowing. But I think what has helped me, especially in this period of remote working, is just having the same timetable you would have as if you were in the office. So
Mm,
having that kind of commute time, you see, you know that you start work at this time, and you finish work at this time. Having that hard stop, it really helps, because at the end of the day, I'm a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not, no one's going to die. No one is actually going to
yeah.
die. And I even remember when I joined my company, I mean, the company I work in is huge, is really huge on making people comfortable, and achieving a work-life balance, and making sure that no one is really unhappy at work. And I remember when I met with the vice president of our franchise, just when I had joined, she told me, listen, at the end of the day, just remember, it's not life and death here. Yeah. Even if, even if you need to send something tomorrow, no one will die. What we are doing,
Yeah.
to dumb it down further, is just making, we're just making beverages. It's not the end of the world. It's not an emergency. And I remember thinking, wow, for someone who is that senior to tell me that, just shows how much they prioritize the well-being of their employees. And yeah, I think that was a game changer for me. So then again, it's also a lesson. Just don't put so much pressure on yourself. Of course, work hard. Hard work is important. Hard work towards your dream is extremely important. But then again, take time to enjoy it, because you won't enjoy
Yeah,
it if you don't have, the time to plug, or to just switch off, be with family, go out for a drink, or learn from people who are not necessarily in your office. Having those mentorship relationships outside work are just as important.
I agree. I agree.
Mm,
I can see there's a question from Valerie.
yeah.
So she's asking, how do you continuously add to your learning and ensure you continue to grow? I think you've touched on this a little bit, but I guess more on the learning element of it, maybe
Mm,
educational or if there are qualifications. I don't know how it works in law, but how do you
yeah.
continuously add to your learning?
Yeah, that's a good question. What I'd say is, because I'm actually, Valerie, good you ask that, because I'm actually at the point where I feel like I've been out of school for too long.
Mm-hmm.
And the unfortunate bit or fortunate bit is that the job market is extremely competitive these days, and you have to keep your papers up to date. You have to make sure that your CV is cutting edge every single time. So at the moment, maybe in the next few years, try and see if I can do a master's, even if that's a distance learning master's. Looking out for those opportunities, Valerie, even if it's not just a huge investment. You see, a master's is a huge investment, both financially and
Yeah.
time wise.
Mm-hmm.
But those kind of certifications, looking for those kind of fellowships, or even round tables where you can join and learn from others, I think make the difference. Um, Even the things like LinkedIn courses, or what's this other website? Is it Coursera? Those kind of things can really
Mm-hmm.
also add to your skill set. Joining courses that then now add to, I think I did the Harvard X, which was a copyright course, and it's completely free. People don't know this, but it's something that can give you
Mm-hmm.
an edge in your CV. But it's free, and you can learn with other people from around the world. On different specializations, because again, I'll keep on stressing this: if you want to be a lawyer, it's constantly learning, it's constantly reading, it's constantly pushing yourself to know more and know a little bit more about everything. So yeah, I'd say that's how I just really scoping out those opportunities where I can um, join small certification courses to just make myself a bit more competitive. That really goes a long way.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Angie. I think, of course, we're now starting to wind down. But maybe just to finish this discussion, just to end it on a positive note, it's been positive all through, don't get me wrong. But maybe if you can just give a few words to someone who is thinking of switching their career to law, or someone who's literally thinking of entering, they're just finishing uni and they want to enter into to start their legal career, basically. What few words would you let them know? Like something you wish you knew when you were starting off?
Something I wish I knew when I was starting off is that, as I've said before, I think I'll reiterate: there's no shame in not knowing. And don't put your, if I could talk to my 23-year-old self, which is just after, I think, when I was just stepping into the professional atmosphere, is that it's okay to not know. It's okay to just take an opportunity to learn more or to brush up on skills. It's it's not the end of the world if someone asks you a question and you have no clue
Mm-hmm.
about it. Yeah, so give yourself that grace, um and give yourself that opportunity to just learn more without feeling like you have this huge chip on your shoulder, or you have this monkey on your back where you need to prove to everyone. There's no and I think the other thing that I would give a tip on is that there's no deadline in life. There are people who blossom late, there are people who blossom early, and I think in this day and age, a lot of these lists, this Forbes 30 under 30,
They
or,
give
you
pressure.
know, yeah, Business Daily's top 40 under 40. You give this pressure to have this time-bound achievement. Like, I want to achieve this by the time I'm 30. Or you look at this person and you think, oh my gosh, like I was just thinking about Elsa Majimbo the other day. The girl is so young. I think she's
I
21 or something.
know. Yeah, yeah.
And she's brushing shoulders with, Rihanna and all those kind of people. And just realizing everybody has a different journey, and it doesn't mean that your journey is any less for it. So just knowing that we all have different paths, there's no deadline to life. You can start a new thing today and you could be the most successful in it. I think it's Steve Harvey that says, every single person in this world was born with a God-given gift. Let me tell you, God is not so cruel that you would be born without anything that you are good at. There is
Yeah.
one thing at least that you're good at. And if you put that skill to use, if you just invest in it, and even my if there's any lesson in my career so far, feeling like a misfit when I was in law school, feeling like, in those constitutional law classes, which are the classic law things, or administrative law, those kind of things, and feeling like maybe I don't really fit in, but then finding my passion and vocation in IP and tech, just realizing that there's something for everyone to do. There's something every single person is good at. And if you take that opportunity to just sit in that, don't run away from your dreams, don't run away from your passions, and invest in your passions, invest in your dreams. I honestly think every single person has the capacity to be the very best at something.
I completely agree. Completely,
Yeah.
completely agree. And I can see, I think we have a few more questions, but oh no, actually it's people saying thank you. I can see Techie B saying, I think you have a great future. Which
Oh,
industry takes your fancy in the future? I know we were winding down. Maybe you can just answer that one quickly.
yeah, no
But it's the
problem, no
last one, I
problem.
promise.
I mean, easy. If there's something that tickles my fancy, and should tickle everyone's fancy, it's tech. Belinda, I think you even know more about this because that's your area. I mean, tech is the future. It has been for a while now, ever since the dot-com boom in '98, in the '90s rather. So I think that if there's anything that people need to invest in, if there's any area that will continually evolve, it's technology, and it's where the future is headed. That's something I'm super interested in, something I subscribe to in all my different news outlets. That's something I'm always looking out for, because I truly believe there's no escaping it. And with technology, even with the law, that's one area that the law will always again be playing catch up to, because
Exactly.
the law will never evolve as quick as
As tech.
technology does.
Hmm.
And it's becoming more and more of a priority. If you even look in the last few years, just how valuable personal data has been. In 2006, when everyone was joining Facebook and putting their fathers on Facebook, and everybody, nobody cared about personal data. No one even thought there's anything bad about just writing your name and putting your profile picture there.
Date
or,
of
or there's
birth. We used to put
Yeah,
everything.
and actually they used to ask very invasive questions. You remember they'd say, what are you in, who are you interested in, what is it, your religious beliefs or something like that.
Hmm.
It would always, and these are all very sensitive information now. But now just look, even with a simple exercise right now that's happening with the SIM registration in Kenya, everybody has been wondering, Safaricom, why do you need this information? Don't you have this
Hmm.
information already? Something like that.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
just shows just how much the world has evolved. We can't ignore it anymore. We can't ignore just how important technology is to us. So many even documentaries on Netflix, if you look at it, are about tech. The scams these days are happening where? On tech.
Hmm.
If you even have a little bit of a presence on social media, every day you receive those messages. I have an exciting opportunity to tell you about. They're just always those
Yeah.
kind of things. So it's a huge industry that I think we need to pay attention to and invest in, to be honest.
I've really enjoyed this discussion. It's interesting. We talk a lot, like we've been close for a long time, but we've never really talked in this capacity. I think I'm seeing you in a whole different
Yeah.
light. I'm like, wow, why haven't we been having proper, why have we been having proper Zoom calls, proper
I guess
professional
they'll change from
conversations?
now on. Huh?
Yeah, I think we need to plan a proper date in the diary. But I really appreciate you coming on my channel.
Anytime.
And this is the type of things that I do on this channel, just talking about career. Hopefully, creating awareness and hopefully empowering some people with information that we didn't have.
Yeah.
Maybe Angie, as you say your parting shot, maybe you can plug your page because we both know you're not just a lawyer. You are
Yeah.
also in this social media space. So if you can just plug your page.
Yeah, no, no, no. I mean, Belinda, I've been following your page for a while. This channel is awesome. It's awesome to have these
Thank
career
you.
insights from someone so yeah, so like young, like we are, and who can give things in a relatable way. So I
Mhm.
think you're doing a really, really good job. For me, you can find me on Instagram. Trying my bit at content creation, and actually, if there's any of my followers who have joined in on this call, it's not something I talk about my career so often. But now I think I'll probably see if there's
Mhm.
space for that to just also grow. If people are interested in this, I would love to take you on my journey and answer questions. I mean, hey, we are all learning, so I would love to learn from everyone and also plug in my journey. So you can find me on Facebook at Angie Mukora. And yeah, let's connect.
Perfect. And if there are any other topics that we haven't touched on that you'd like us to cover in the future, I'm sure Angie wouldn't mind joining us sometime. See, I'm
Yeah,
putting you on the
sure.
spot.
No
But
problem. I actually really enjoyed this, Belinda. I enjoyed it so much. Thank you so much for having me on. I was so super, super humbled to be asked to join. So thank you so much.
perfect. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.